Hello and welcome to another episode of News from the Gelding. Okay, so hello everyone. I hope everyone's well and they're keeping as safe as possible. All is well here. We've been locked down now for 14 days or so we're okay. And the only dangerous thing we're doing is going shopping, as dangerous as that can be. But people appear to be keeping their distance, and we certainly are as well. I've passed the last week fairly well, really. The first week was terrible, a bit of a write-off really, but I've decided just to focus on doing something else, which I'll talk about in a minute. And it's helped amazingly, as has avoiding the news as much as possible. Now I can't, I'm going to reiterate what I said last time, but if you can, I would avoid the news as much as possible. As long as you're doing what the government want you to do, more or less, well, stay at home and be as safe as possible, help out other people if you can. That's all you can do. I don't see the point of dwelling on how bad the situation's getting, how worse it's becoming. I think it's too negative, really. And it's like at the beginning of all this, and the news, the first thing they would start was telling you how many people had died. It seems as though they've been told to tone that down now, so it tends to be around halfway through the news broadcast that they'll start talking about death. But even so, they tackle that subject with a barely disguised relish, I think. They can't wait to tell you these numbers because they know they're shocking, and of course they are shocking. But I don't know. It doesn't do anyone any good, and all it does is make people more afraid than ever. And a certain amount of fear is useful, because it makes you keep to the guidelines and keep your distance and be as safe as possible. But too much of it's no good for anyone, I don't think. So anyway, my main piece of advice would be, if you're able, begin a new hobby if possible, or do something that you've always wanted to do within reason, and focus on that. Of course, it's not as easy if you've got children. I know my brothers and have all got families now, and it's not as easy, I know, but try to put some time aside just to relax as much as possible, and take your mind off it. Watch a nice film, play some games, or watch me. Lovely idea. The other thing is television, which is following on from the news in a way. For a long time, well, when I was living on my own, I never had television, so about 4 years or so I didn't have it at all. We've got one now, and it's good. I think it's a nice thing to have in the background sometimes, as long as it's not a news channel. But obviously there's a lot of shows are stopping now, or they're reorganizing themselves around Skype and Zoom conferencing for the various celebrities. And if there's one thing it struck me, is that these celebrities are revealed to be just very normal people. They're sat there in normal looking houses. They might be better than most of our houses, but they're just normal people, and they don't have a great deal to say usually, from what I've seen. The cult of the celebrity is very well looked after on television normally, or the lights and the the way everything's edited, things like that. As soon as you stick someone on a screen like this, they become just like us, and they're nothing special at all. Just a little thing I thought about earlier today. I'm fairly fed up with looking at these celebrities now, talking about whatever they are, trying their damnedest at times to still promote whatever the hell they're doing. They're not all doing that, of course. Some of them are involved in raising money and things like that, which is great. But on the whole, yeah, I've had enough of it. Okay, so anyway, last week I've been working on something else. I've stopped writing for almost a week now, but I am still going to be doing it. I needed a break. For me, writing is a fairly labor-intensive and mentally draining exercise. And when you've got all these negative things going on outside, it's difficult for me to escape to somewhere else when I know that the end goal is you know, fairly intangible. The last book didn't sell very well because no one knows it's there primarily, and the same is probably going to happen with the second one. You need to have money for advertising, like that, and I don't have that. So whilst it's very cheap to write your own book, selling the bloody thing is a lot more difficult. Anyway, so I've delayed that. I'm going to start writing it again next week. So I'm feeling a bit more mentally stable now to tackle it. So instead, I've been working on a new YouTube channel. And so going back on what I said earlier, I've decided to rekindle my passion for old retro video gaming. So back in the 80s and 90s, I was well into it, as were my brothers and sisters. First of all on the Commodore 64, the 8-bit computer, and then onto the Amiga, Commodore Amiga, the next computer we had in the 16-bit territory. So over the next however long we're locked down, I'm going to be playing games and showing them on here. That's the idea. So anyway, so this week I've been working on a new intro for it, and when I get into something like video editing, I become totally obsessed by it, and it's brilliant. The day just flies by, and I don't even want to eat or go to bed. I'm just really focused on it, and so that's why I've been doing that. So anyway, if I just I'll show you the intro, and so you can have a look at it, and then I'll talk a little bit about it afterwards. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, there we are. Yes, it took me about 4 days, many hours of work, because I didn't really know what I was doing. The initial idea was to have the robot just going across, which is from one of my favourite games called Turrican, revealing the name of the channel, and that's about it. And then it got more complicated. Each time I wanted to push it a bit further and see if I could make it happen. That's the way it looks is more or less all I can do at the moment without going into too much research into other editing techniques, but that's all I could do with what I already know. So I'm not that last screen. I'm not a games designer. I can't code or anything like that. That's purely stitched together from screen captures from games and reordering it on Photoshop with transparent layers. And isolating the Turrican character, and then moving him around, and the various whiz balls that go past, things like that. So yes, a lot of fun doing that. I'm not sure if I'll use it on every single video because people get fed up with it, but I just wanted to kick it off with something that shows what I'm going to be doing. So these games, if you go on YouTube, pretty much every game that's ever been made on those old computers, and there's thousands of them, have been recorded on YouTube as long plays, they're called, where some person either using cheats or AI assists, or from practicing themselves, they complete a game from beginning to end, usually very quickly and really well done. They're not all cheating, but a lot of them do, because some of the older games were rock hard. So I'm going to be doing a similar thing, but no cheats. I'm just going to try and do it myself. But the emphasis will be just on sharing the experience with you. So I'll have my face down in the corner, and I'll be talking about the game, what it means to me, what I remember of it, and what I know about the game, its history, things like that. So that's what I'm going to do. It won't be for everyone. It may not be for many people at all, but I'm going to do it anyway because it doesn't cost me anything to do, and I'm going to enjoy doing it. So yes, I'll probably end there. I may keep doing my normal videos as long as I've got something to talk about, but we'll see. Yeah, I think next week I might talk about a couple of books I've just read. I've just finished Stephen King's Under the Dome, so I'm going to talk about that. And also I've started another one of his older books, which I believe he did under his pseudonym, what was it, Bachman, I can't remember his first name, but The Running Man. And already I'm about 40% through. It's brilliant, it's a really brilliant book. I absolutely love the older Stephen King, especially the Bachman books. So I'll talk about that maybe. But anyway, until then, have a good week, stay safe, and connect with other people as much as possible, and online obviously. And yes, if you fancy joining me on my other channel, there's a link here. I'll maybe release my first video either later today or maybe over the weekend. I'm not sure. I haven't recorded it yet. So, but anyway, yeah. All that's left is one other thing, and that's cheerio.